Okay, welcome everyone to the Prof Show. Hopefully, you are hearing me, and let's do a sound check. Sounds good. Hopefully, everyone's doing okay. Wow, what a day! What a day! It's been an action-packed day. It's Tuesday, January 7th, at the time that we're recording this, and hopefully, some of you were watching a pretty interesting interview. And as you can see, we've been correct all along, and we're going to continue to be correct here. Um, but tonight's show is called Delphi Murders, a critical analysis of Murder Sheet's Holeman interview, part two. And if you've missed part one, please go back and watch it after you're done with this, or maybe before this. Part one is pretty interesting. It's pretty angering, and they've already gotten on with it. I believe that they now have released a two-parter with Mr. Cicero. So they're going to continue to present state actors uh, to be able to give them a platform for their own benefit to try to gaslight you and the world about the Delphi murders and to try to prop up the state's position. Um, and as you know, it's a difficult uh, position. I mean, this is it's insane to believe all of the facts that the state alleges to be putting across in the Delphi murders trial against Richard Allen. We know this that there were some unexplainable facts that destroy the state's narrative. They destroyed these unexplainable facts, destroy the state's timeline, and these unexplainable facts destroy the state's theory of the crime and narrative in general. And it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, but we're going to continue to present it, and there will continue to be zero explanation of those anomalies in the case until the entire truth is disclosed. And at that time, I think the entire narrative from the state will implode, and it'll be a difficult thing for everyone. But we are here, okay? We are here, and we'll continue to be here, and we've been here. Um, Someone reminded me earlier of all the wonderful work we've done here um, by mentioning several points that I've covered, all interesting points that there's so many things to address that it's sort of like these pertinent points get lost in the midst of it all. Um, for instance, I did a show called The Three Phones. Okay, The Three Phones. And The Three Phones was a very interesting show, and many people missed it. I mean, at this time I could go look, but I doubt it has more than 3,000 views. And if you think of the millions of people who live in the United States and the billions in the world, and only 3,000 people have seen that video, it's pretty disappointing because that video contains some very earth-shattering critiques or observations of some of the lies that the prosecutor in this case tried to put across, particularly when it comes to the geofencing and the accuracy of the geofencing. And that was a point that was mentioned earlier. Um, the accuracy of the geofencing all depends upon the factors of what is meant by geofencing in each particular instance. And it's interesting that the prosecutor tried to lie to the jury and to the world by misrepresenting the accuracy of that geofencing, by using the worst case scenario, um, not considering the more accurate resolutions of the particular pathways for each phone that is included in this geofencing. And it's funny that that was something that was brought up tonight that I was reminded of, that We covered that very, very specifically on that three phone stream because on the three phone stream, I am reading from an FBI training manual, for lack of a better term, or field guide um, in reference to geofencing. So I would suggest any of you who have not seen that to maybe go look at it. I'll pin it here in the chat. But there are some points in there. Yes, we got 3.8 thousand views on this main channel. There should be many more because there are some points in there that are very, very, very important, uh, which prove the dishonesty of the prosecutor. Okay. And it's just amazing that this prosecutor would sit there and try to misrepresent the facts, not only, as I mentioned, to the jury, but to the world. And it just reminds me that I need to shout those facts louder. So I'll probably go into that live and um, and try to clip into a short the particular excerpt in which I mention this misrepresentation by the prosecutor. So there's that. But there's many things. There's also the Abbey on the Bridge photo, which I've covered in depth for 2 years now. And I think both of those things will be the Achilles heel of the state's case, or the state's misrepresentation of the facts of the Delphi murders. And it's really horrible. It's unfathomable that a contingent of law enforcement would attempt to do this around the murders of two little girls. Remember, it's two little girls, and never would they commit to anything whatsoever. Think about it. Pardon. Think about it. For more than 7 years, never would they commit to one single thing about the murders of these two girls. They wouldn't commit to a timeline until they had to. They wouldn't commit to who was cleared, who was not cleared. They would not commit to clearing the family. They would not commit to the arrest of Richard Allen as being something special here. Nope, nope. The judge signed the probable or the warrant. So it's just continuously been a travesty to observe, and it continues because we know that now they are on the "We're Not Liars" tour. Yeah, so I mean the state actors in this case are now on an all-out podcast tour and attempting to spread the "We're Not Liars" narrative and continuing to gaslight, to put across false information, to misrepresent, and to smear and slander not only the defendant, but the attorneys for the defendant. And it's been unbelievable. But here we are at part two. Like I said, for those of you who have not seen part one, I suggest you see that first. Then you see part two, which is this one, which will follow up on the second half of the interview, the "I'm Not a Liar" part two interview here. So anyway, it's just never a dull moment here. Never a dull moment. I want to thank everyone for being here. If you're in the Lurker crew, please go ahead and join the chat. Okay, there's plenty of reasons to join the chat because who just wants to sit here and listen to me and watch me? Join the chat. There's plenty of awesome people in the chat. You'll probably like it. Okay, so let me say hello to everyone here, and we will quickly get into it because I've already delayed enough. Okay, we got Court of Public Opinion, Ninja Warrior Assassin, Heather Brown, Sons of God, I'll Allow It, Stephanie, Say What, Who's Your Daddy, 11, T-Bone, Plain Iron, Monday, Amy, L'Oreal, Marcy McQuarrin, or McQuarrin, Donnie Pitbull Kuntz, Nature Loving Lady, Mark Ellis. Hello, Mark. Five Green Acres, Dawn Steele, Bonnie, Starlight Synchronicity, Kate Yu, Judith Galloway, Bella's in Wonderland, Keena Lancaster, Mino Dino, Trial Junkie, Amy Dunn, Tracy Thornton. Awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. Digital, Sweet Dude Chibi, and who else we got in here? Miss Jon Snow. All right. That may or may not be it. Who knows? I think I caught everyone though. Oh, Peaches 81. Hello. Court of Public Opinion, Gene Jackson. All right. So, hello to everyone. Glad to see you here. And we will be getting into this. Let's get started. Oh, it's never enough here. All right, let's see. So here we go with part two. Remember, this was recorded December 21st, 2024, quite a while ago. My, how the time flies. We're going to skip the obnoxious introduction that they always do because, as you know, they're quite obnoxious. All right, and we're going to get right into it here. We're saying this is the Delphi Murders First Person Lieutenant Jerry Holeman Part 2, dropping that title. All right, so here we go with I want to jump to sort of on the defense side of things. Well, with that being said, be prepared that this will be a. This is where the gaslighting will really kick into high gear. But there's some interesting things here, and I think you guys will like it. So let's get into this angle because the thing that I feel at this point in time is let them keep running their mouths, because every time they run their mouths, there's more that we can take from it than we had before. And so this says, I want to jump on the Odinism theory that sort of came out and became sort of a main discussion point for the defense side for quite a long time. You don't say. You don't say. But it's interesting. We understand from some of the court hearings that you yourself actually, participated in some of those, kind of looking into some of those people that came up around that early on. What do you make of the narrative that that theory was sort of unfairly suppressed or dismissed or not worked hard enough? And remember, these questions were obviously either given or pre-approved, because we've already noted in the earlier episode that these questions are in many cases identical to the questions that he has been confronted with or presented with. In other words, the talking prompts that he's been given in the other alleged interviews that he's done. So this is clearly what they want out there. So they want to to present how the assertion that the judge unfairly excluded these third party suspects and the information postulated in the Franks memorandum is interesting, that they want to debate that with this interview and try to put that fire out. So it just tells you what we need to be focusing on more. So if you got your notebooks out, like I often recommend, this is something to put in notebooks. That one of the points that they are trying to quash here is that the third party suspect Odinism theory was unfairly suppressed or not followed up on properly by law enforcement. So that angle, and here's his response. He says, yes, well, I think that's ridiculous. I think that we worked extremely hard on that and other tips and leads. I guess the defense saw that as an angle to plant seeds of doubt in the media and maybe was going to try to use that. But I think they knew how hard we worked on it. We gave them in discovery multiple reports and audio and videotape statements of those people that they were wrongfully accusing. I think they just ignored how much time, effort, and resources that we put into those accusations. Okay, so you see very, very interesting already, because he's doing two things. He's saying that the defense was wrongfully accusing those mentioned in the Franks memorandum, but he's also, I guess, hinting or unknowingly saying that there were accusations against those people. And thirdly, he's also attempting to put across the fact that they worked extremely hard, which is doubtful, unfortunately. I mean, we spent years. Well, first we spent several months trying to figure it out if it was a ritualistic killing. And it was just not, declares Fuckboy. We were told that could be, but more than likely it wasn't. If it was, you would have no doubt if it was somebody doing a ritualistic killing or Odinist whatever, which I think they confused on the Odinism religion. All right, so a few points there. Let's not skip anything. We're not doing any skipping. So he says he acknowledges or admits that they spent several months or years trying to figure out if it was ritualistic. So that's a little different, right? That's a little different. Because they've been attempting to put across that they never considered it as legitimate, that it might be ritualistic. You know, that's been the whole gaslight this entire time. We never thought that. That was always Todd Click, Greg Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy, right? But it's interesting here that in this paragraph, or this part of his response, he says, I mean, we spent years. Well, first we spent several months trying to figure out if it was a ritualistic killing. So that's kind of something new that he's admitting. We were told that it could be. Well, who told you that? You mean by the FBI? But more than likely it wasn't. Okay. If it was, you would have no doubt if somebody was doing a ritualistic killing. Well, I think we do have no doubt that there are signatures of such. See, that's the thing that you're ignoring here is that based on the crime scene photos alone, it's pretty clear that there was some appearance of of signatures of a ritualistic killing. All right. And it's also interesting what happens next is because it almost appears that he's one of them, okay? It almost appears that he's one of them because he's trying so hard to validate this sect or this group. And we're going to be talking about that later because I'm going to really explain to you something important. But let's continue. It says here, there, it's not a cult, not a gang. It's an actual religion. I think they were confused about that. Okay, it's not a cult or a gang, it's an actual religion. Okay, question. We know that heathenism is a cult of white supremacists. They call themselves heathens in order to soften the white supremacy angle. They sometimes refer to themselves as Odinists, almost like a cover. We're going to get back to that. But why is he simping so hard for these heathens? And don't forget, what's the song that Kelsey for years said that they were listening to at full volume on the way to this killing? But you know, we spent several years tracking down information and ruling out that theory. And it just wasn't a possibility that those people that they thought were in this cult, some of them had never even been to Delphi or Carroll County. Really? Who had never been to Delphi or Carroll County? Because that sounds like an outright lie right there. Who has never been to Carroll County or Delphi? And the ones that did were had alibis. I mean, we looked into them very, very thoroughly. So I think for people to say, "Oh, you didn't look into that," that's absolutely false. Question here: what in the fucking world have you looked into absolutely thoroughly? Because from all appearances, nothing was looked into absolutely thoroughly. What you thoroughly did was delete 70 days of important evidence, potentially exculpatory and potentially that led to the actual killers. You've thoroughly lied. You've thoroughly misled the public. You've thoroughly uh, obscured or kept transparency out of this case. For instance, just today, I heard the amazing sheriff of Las Vegas County, or whatever the fuck county is over there in Las Vegas. Um, just this morning, He gave yet another completely transparent press conference in which he showed new video, explained the video thoroughly, showed emails, showed a discovery or evidence from out of the phone of the bomber, of the whatever you want to call the guy, the dead guy. He showed new video evidence from other locations. He had the FBI come and give information. Then, after that, the ATF stepped up and gave new information. What it looks like is coming out of Las Vegas from this incident is complete transparency, earned, aimed at earning the trust of the public regarding this situation. Question: why couldn't Carroll County do the same thing for 7 fucking years? Not once have we seen a single press conference at which any evidence was handed out in a transparent manner. It's been lies, obfuscation, cover up, alternative, hypothetical, fucking narrative, storyline, fairy tale narratives. The more you try to hide shit, the more people are going to pry. And so you fucked up because people are never going to stop digging on Delphi. We spent numerous hours and a number of different people looking into it. Just the Odinist part. And then once we got the tip on the people, they thought, it just, again, we had multiple detectives go down there and interview multiple people. You like the word numerous and multiple? Are you're trying to force a point here? And some people, aren't honest with you. And they get caught up in their own lies. And they want it to be that person so bad, they'll say anything and do anything to make it. But the evidence and facts don't lie. Oh, well, fat ass. That's where we agree. That's where I agree with you. The evidence and the facts don't lie. That Abby on the bridge photo is not from Libby's phone. Kelsey's hair was wrapped around Abby's finger, pulled out from the root. The Bridge Guy video, you cannot see Bridge Guy. Zero likelihood that the voice belongs to the figment captured in that video. Zero chance the girls turned that video on purpose. But then he tells the truth. You see, this guy, he continuously comes up with the truth unknowingly. He says, and we could never establish probable cause on any of those people. Well, there we get the fucking truth. The truth of the matter. The truth of the fucking matter. You couldn't get probable cause on paper. Therefore, it didn't matter. Truth, it doesn't matter, because the only truth that matters to you is probable cause, a matter of paperwork. And here we come with Major Puss. You've been in law enforcement for decades, so it's not unusual for defense attorneys to try to attack the credibility of law enforcement officers. Is there anything about what these defense attorneys did that felt different than what the norm is? Well, first of all, that seems like you're opening the door uh, into a specific response you're fishing out of him. But before we get to that, here's a question. Do law enforcement ever do wrong things? Have you ever seen a cop lie? Have you ever seen a cop unlawfully arrest someone? But see, here, this puss is trying to lead towards a certain response, and it's handed out here. He says, is there anything about what these defense attorneys did that felt different than the norm? See, he's there. The attempt here is to blame the defense attorneys, remember? To smear them, to ruin their careers. Listen, they killed Stephanie Thompson. They killed Robert Fortson. How many others have they killed? You don't think that I mean, they killed Ferenczi. They ruined Todd Click. You don't think they're trying to ruin Baldwin and Rossi now? And after tonight, they're going to try to ruin Auger. But here comes Fat Ass. First of all, can you rephrase the decade that really makes me sound old? Could you just say I've been in law enforcement for a few? I mean, okay, eons, decades, geez, Kevin, ha 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 ha, best friends. Remember the fucktard here, he's best friends with the bootlicking YouTubers like Frank Meister, Aspen, Murder Sheet. If you had any of your friends out there at the trial, they would have told you these bootlickers licked the ass cracks of these cops in and outside of the courthouse. Marv, Greeno, all of the ass licking, boot licking, shilling ass YouTubers. Best friends with Jerry Holeman and Nick McClellan. What are the odds? I am used to defense attorneys. No, he says, am I used to defense attorneys attacking our credibility? I mean, yes. We're used to the public and the defense attorneys scrutinize our work. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback, which is you're minimizing. Okay, I see. I mean, yes, there were mistakes made. Wish we could have done things a little better, a little differently. But we were able to correct a lot of those. Okay. Were you able to go back and produce out of thin air 70 days of deleted interviews from the recordings? No. Were you able to go back and retrieve out of the trash can once it had gone to the landfill anything that you have intentionally destroyed? But you know, and here's where he cries like a little bitch, a little baby. The personal attacks on us were just over the top. I mean, it was obvious that they wanted to attack our character publicly. I mean, after the first hearing, they went downstairs and started trying to put things in the media. And it was just obvious that they were going to try this in the media. And that's why the gag order was issued. No, it wasn't. The gag order was issued to give all of you and the family a road out of having to have any accountability, because all you had to do was say, there's a gag order, we can't talk. That's why the gag order was put into place. It was a way out. But they found the loophole, in my opinion. They filed several different motions, the 136 page, whatever they call it, but it all had the same message. Each motion would have the same message to whoever would listen. The police are corrupt. All police are corrupt. And all police are liars, including me, myself, and Tony Liggett, and prosecutor Nick McClelland's corrupt and withholding evidence. And none of that was true. No, fucker. No. No one says all police are corrupt. Only an idiot would think that. All police are not corrupt. But when you do things that give the appearance and inclination that you are corrupt, there appears to be corruption. And so were they wrong in stating the facts of the matter? The defense stated the facts of the matter. And these little, I'll save that word so the video doesn't get taken down. These people are butthurt that the facts reflect badly on them. They have no evidence to indicate that. And I know because it's not true. It's lies. And the old saying, I love the saying, if the law's on your side, argue the law. If the facts are on your side, argue the facts. And when neither on your side, pound the table. And it just felt like the law and facts were on our side. Question here. Why do you verbatim repeat that on the other interview? Seems like you got some notes you're reading off of. So this is something that you're intending to do. You're intending to put out there into the world. If the facts are on your side, argue the facts. If the law on your side, argue the law. And if not, neither, just pound the table. And that's all the defense was doing. And we're not liars. Well, the thing is, we know how to read, unlike most of you. And when we read, we saw that the defense was actually presenting facts and telling the truth. Now, the fact that it reflects poorly on you doesn't make it not a fact. No, where were we? And the defense just did a lot of pounding on the table, a lot of smoke screens, a lot of things to divert the public and anyone that would listen from the facts, and never wanted to talk about the facts against Richard Allen. All they wanted to talk about all the other bull BS. I would say that they were making up. And yeah, I mean, it happens. But I think these were a little bit more unprofessional and a little underhanded than what we're used to in our area. And I guess I've never had defense attorneys go this far to challenge my character publicly. Oh, no. They challenge your character because you come across as a douche. See, that's the major gaslight that he just pulled. Because, look, they never wanted to talk about the facts against Richard Allen. I disagree with that. I think there was plenty arguing against what you were presenting as facts about Richard Allen. I think we've done it here at least 1,000 hours. And I told you, I have no allegiance to Richard Allen either way. My allegiance is to the facts. And it appears to me like these defense attorneys, they confronted the allegations against Richard Allen. So this is a huge gaslight for. See, what you're trying to do is you're trying to paint these defense attorneys as like I don't know, engaging in some sort of misconduct, that they only wanted to uh, discredit you and your buddies and not argue against what you were asserting as facts about Richard Allen. I believe you're wrong on that. As a matter of fact, we could go through every single filing again, and I could point out every single time they actually argue what you are alleging is a fact against Richard Allen. And you would say that they're into the thousands. But see, I don't want to go back through all of those documents. We've already been through them. They're already on the channel. How about this? Anyone questioning that, go look at the past 100 live streams and you'll find it all there. But Kevin's a real fucking douche for this. You know that? That's the thing. And look, send me a cease and desist. I wish you would. Okay. You are a real fucking low-life douche for this. Because you are trying to smear these attorneys by the questions you're handing Mr. Holeman here. Now, hypothetically, you're an attorney too, right? Hypothetically. You're such an attorney that you have to do YouTube for a living because you can't do your job. How does it feel when defense attorneys, or these defense attorneys in particular, challenge not just your character, but the character of the people you work with? We're not corrupt. This is called a We're Not Corrupt tour. Well, I think it's ridiculous because I know the people. And I'm not just saying that there aren't bad apples in law enforcement. And I'm not saying that there aren't bad apples. I'm saying that as if they knew Steve Mullen, Tony Liggett, and myself, Nick McClelland, we are passionate about our jobs. We are very passionate about serving the communities that we live in. We're very passionate about justice, and we wouldn't do anything to jeopardize that. And the people they were attacking, it was just hilarious to me because they're all great people. Then there's no one that would do anything for any of those people that would jeopardize their careers. I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I think you all engaged in the cover-up of the murders of Abby and Libby for some reason. I think the reason includes the people that were involved. Okay, I believe that whoever was involved, you're hiding them and covering them up. So, yes, you're lying about the murders of Abby and Libby to protect those who you are hiding and covering up for. It's pretty simple. That's usually how it works. I would not jeopardize my career for Tony Liggett to be elected sheriff. No. That's not the argument. See, that's the simple man's belief. It's not my belief. The lying was not for him to be elected sheriff for him. The lying was to maintain control over the Delphi murders narrative, because if Tony Liggett was not elected sheriff, then that means it would have gone to somebody outside of your control. Okay? You wanted to maintain control over this investigation as a group of people. The worst thing could ever happen in this cover-up is for you to lose control of this investigation, which, if Tony Liggett was not elected sheriff, would have happened. So all of you put your forces together, you joined forces to ensure that you would do what you had to do for Tony Liggett to remain or to win the election, to remain in control of this investigation, because it's the only way that you could keep it among the group who's hiding the actual perpetrators. That was the reason. So it's a straw man argument to say that it's about electing Tony Liggett for the sheer sake of electing Tony Liggett in an election. That's not what it was about. It was about the cover-up. Tony Liggett had to win the election in order for you all to maintain control of the investigation. And that's what is important, or was important. And that's what the claim is. Neither would Steve Mullen or Nick McClelland. Well, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. Or Kathy Shank. Well, I don't know about Shank. See, as I've postulated, you may have used Shank. So maybe Shank had nothing to do with it, and she was just a useful idiot for you all. That's just ridiculous. It's quite appalling, actually. Why? Because are you trying to lead us to believe that it never has happened and never happens and never will happen again? But yeah, that's how it makes me feel. I mean, it's just like there's no way these people are really good law enforcement officers, are really good people, and they're not going to jeopardize their career for each other or any sort of benefit out of this. That was just ridiculous. No, like I'm saying, it's not about benefit. It's not about an election. It's about maintaining control over a cover-up. If anyone else would have got in there as sheriff, you would have lost control of the cover-up, and that's what it's about. And once again, watch how they continue to smear. Remember, this is the section where they're smearing the defense. Listen to this one. What do you make of the alleged breaches of the gag order from this defense team over the course of pretrial and I guess trial? Once again, you see, that is the slander. That the question is the answer there. You're slandering with the question because you're opening the door for him to exercise his talking points, which is the whole point of this PR campaign here. Well, I think it speaks for itself. The gag order was violated by one side. Yeah, the prosecution. Yes, the prosecution, we've already proven that because Jody Williams, Judge Gall herself, through her assistant, violated the gag order directly to Fig Sauls. Indiana State Police violated the gag order directly to Murder Sheet. Nick McClelland and some of the law enforcement violated the gag order to other YouTubers. And we know it all. So tell me, how did the defense violate the gag order? How? You mean by being victimized by Mitch Westerman? So in other words, being a victim makes you a criminal. So if you come to my house, you steal something from my house, even if I invite you in, I'm not saying you got to break in. You could be a friend of mine in my house. I've allowed you in. You could be working for me. We could be talking about something, having a little chit chat. If I turn my back and you steal something off my table or out of my drawer or out of my house, that makes me the criminal, or is the thief the criminal? Because this whole thing about blaming the defense for that leak, for what Westerman did, is absolutely ridiculous. And you're going to stop it. I'm going to be the one who ensures you stop it. See, Baldwin and Rozzi and Richard Allen, all of them were victims of Mitch Westerman. So how does a victim become the criminal? You're victim blaming, but that's what you've all done. You've all done. In my opinion, that side was the defense. I think the prosecutor and law enforcement, we didn't want information out, not because we were hiding things, but we wanted to protect the integrity of the investigation. Yeah, right. I mean, that's our job. We don't want facts out. And I know people get angry with us and want us to be more transparent. And I believe in transparency. No, you don't. But there's certain facts that, only the killer would know. And we didn't want that out. So it was obvious the defense wanted all that out to try to plant seeds of doubt. And they wanted to try to make it look like we were trying to cover things up because we wanted the gag order and we didn't want to talk about it. Ah, interesting, huh? Yeah, you wanted the gag order and you didn't want to talk about the facts or transparency. And you're blaming the defense for leaking that which was stolen from them. Boy, this is rich. The gaslight is off the charts with these people. And you know what? Everybody who listens to these videos and everybody else in this community who knows the truth of what happened, they're not being misled by you. They're seeing straight through all of this. You're only digging a deeper hole. So it was obvious the defense wanted that out. Yeah, right. But they were doing nothing more than just promoting a false narrative. Oh, really? And at one point, leaked crime scene photos. Do you think we're retarded? You really must think people are retarded. How did they leak crime scene photos when the crime scene photos were stolen from them by Mitchell Westerman? Somebody explain that. I hear crickets. If you come in my house and you steal anything from my house, is that me giving you something? Or is that you taking something that doesn't belong to you? Mitch Westerman admitted, confessed in a sworn affidavit to taking that which was not his. And those photos are still out there, which is just disgusting. And I ask and email people all the time, don't put those out there. Say what you want about me. Say what you want to say about the investigation. But no one wants to see those brutal photos. Those disgusting photos are all over the internet. And I believe it was done intentional. Yes, by Mitch Westerman and Mark Cohen. And you know it. But you're out here lying to the people on Murder Sheet. Using Murder Sheet to lie to the people about what actually happened. You see, people want to see those crime scene photos for themselves, to prove to themselves what it is about those sticks. Because those sticks are the whole story. That's why you don't want them out there. Those sticks tell a whole completely different story. And all anyone has to do is see them for themselves and look at those sticks, and they will have a whole different impression of the crime than you're trying to put across. And I think those people that are putting them out there, if that was their loved ones, they wouldn't want those photos all over the internet. Some have compassion, some have couth, and don't put those out there that, I wish I could arrest every single person for putting those on the internet, but my hands are tied there. I'm sure you do wish you could arrest every single person you don't like. I mean, you've already done it once. And I mean, it's just disgusting. But like I said earlier, too, in their motions, the defense was, violating the gag order, but they found a loophole. No, because motions are meant for the judge, right? That has nothing to do with the gagging. That's not speaking to a journalist. It's not speaking to the public. The motions are for the judge. You have control issues. They were putting all these false narratives out. You mean their theory of the defense for Richard Allen? And even during trial, it was so obnoxious to me that they were telling the media how they thought the trial was going. I had friends texting me and calling me like, oh man, it's going bad, this and that. No, it's because the defense was somehow relaying information and some media outlets were seeming to be one-sided and only reporting what the defense wanted you to hear. No, you just got, no, dude, this ain't the way reality works. See, the thing is, you cannot control the perceptions of the people, although you're still trying. That's the whole purpose of this interview. Not at all. Not all. And there was as many outlets that were down the middle and non-biased, and even podcasters and content creators and YouTubers were non-biased. No, they were biased. Trust me, there's only two fucking sides on this case. Okay, there's only two fucking sides. Biased. You understand that? There's those of us who believe you're absolutely fucking lying and covering up the Delphi murders, and those of us who swallow every piece of shit word that comes out of you and believes everything you say. There's only two sides. So let's clear that up. And there were probably some more biased towards the prosecution. No, the majority are. Let's clear that up too. 75% of the YouTubers and podcasters are biased for the prosecution. Are we saying here? Are we saying here? From day one, you've controlled all the fucking YouTubers. All of them. What is there, like 3 or 4 of us? There's 3 or 4 of us who don't swallow your shit. You control more than 2/3 or 3/4. I'm over it. That's enough. I can't keep getting upset. And there were probably some more biased towards the prosecution. I get that. No, yeah, like I said, the majority are fucking biased towards you. But for the mainstream media, they need to stay down the middle, and I wish everybody would make our lives a lot easier because of this. Then you guys see it all the time, but we get death threats, indirect death threats, hate mails. Look, fuckface, you know how many death threats I've gotten and I've sent to you all? Indiana's done nothing about the death threats. Okay, so don't fucking come whining about you getting paid to get. See, you're getting your $180,000 a year, or whatever it might be. You're getting paid for your death threats. I'm getting death threats for free. I'm coming over here and arguing for Abby and Libby and getting threatened, getting anxiety, damn near fucking losing my fucking sanity over here for free. You're getting a salary for 20 years. So we don't want to hear whining about the popo getting death threats over this case. Anybody that was supporting the prosecution at the time, whether they were family members, the prosecutor himself, law enforcement, podcasters, if you weren't on their side, they were gonna harass you, and they still do. Really. I like how you turn that shit inside out. So you're pretending that the troll farm doesn't exist. I've already proven it, but you know what? For you, because of this statement right here, I'm going to do an entire episode or two. I'm going to do an entire episode or two. I'm going to show thousands of receipts of the harassment, intimidation, doxing, and death threats. Okay? Since you want to go this route and claim that you're a victim and claim that it's you. See, you're trying to. It's called Darvo. Like you're playing Darvo right now. Jerry Holeman is playing the Darvo game right now. It was the prosecution-friendly element that was doing all of the harassment, intimidation, doxing, and death threatening. Let's be serious. Okay? Stop trying to fool people. Again, you can harass me all you want, but stop harassing the family. Stop harassing community members. You know, say what you want about law enforcement. We're big boys. I got broad shoulders and thick skin, but my message would be stop harassing the family. Who harasses the family? Who harasses the family? You know what harassing is? Harassing is harassing, not speaking. See, there's a difference. Stop harassing the community. The people in community don't deserve this. So that's kind of my take on the whole gag order and just the media relations itself. Who's harassing the community? Who's harassing the community? Do you mean me saying that the entire fucking community is covering up the murders of two of its own children? That's not harassing the community. That's me freely expressing my opinion about what it appears like. And here comes Cuckboy again. You brought up the trial. I'd love to hear about your experience at the trial. And one thing that caught me by surprise, even before the trial itself opened, was the fact that you were actually sitting pretty close to Richard Allen. What was that like? And you didn't have any interactions with him during the trial? It was, it was unusually close to him for just the way the courtroom was set up and the end of the table I was on and the end of the table he was on. I mean, I had very little interaction with him. I mean, he did ask me how I was doing first day, and I said, good, you? And obviously, the circumstances of his living conditions weren't the best. And he made a couple comments about that. I gave him a water at one point. He dropped his glasses. I picked his glasses up. I mean, okay, so here's what you did to the man, right? Here's what you did to him. You took a factually innocent pretrial detainee. You put them in solitary without an attorney in a max security prison where he was regularly threatened by his heathen prison guards and fellow inmates, called a baby killer, told that they were going to kill his wife and his kid. Probably were fucking with his food, which is why he wasn't eating, to the extent that he dropped 40 pounds or something like that over the course of several months. He went into a fucking mental state. Okay. You actually convinced him, or not convinced him, but you know what? Indiana accomplished the goal. Here's what I have to say about Richard Allen. You accomplished the fucking goal. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying about that? You know what I mean by that, listeners? You know how they accomplished the goal? They tortured a motherfucker in Westville until they got confessions out of him. They basically Guantanamo Bay'd his ass. They had no case against Richard Allen without those confessions. They Guantanamo Bay'd his ass. They waterboarded him into a guilty verdict. They Guantanamo Bay'd his ass into a conviction. That's what Indiana does to your average tax-paying, hardworking citizen in the state of Indiana. They will fuck you over. They will take you off the street, throw you in the fucking hole for a year, have the heathens come out, threaten to fucking kill you and your family, force medicate your ass, keep your ass with some fucking questionable food where you're not eating your food because you think there's shit or piss in your food, till you drop half your body weight. You start going bazonkers because they're injecting you with shit on top of your psychotropics. So what they can do is they can grab you off the street. The next thing you know, you'll be confessing to killing your mother, who's still alive, living across town. And it's the only way they got a conviction on Richard Allen is because they were able to successfully squeeze confessions out of him in Westville. And you take that to the fucking bank. And I've said it so many times, and other people have. If they can do it to him, they can do it to you, they can do it to me. Look at what happened to Saddam Hussein. Look at what happened to Gaddafi. All right. When they get a physical hold of you, they will do with you what they fucking please. And that's what happened to Richard Allen. But Holeman here wants to be a fucking hero. Okay, he wants to be a fucking hero. He dropped his glasses. I picked his glasses up. I mean, he's a human being. Really. That's supposed to make you some sort of compassionate individual? You're guilty of something and I'm going to fucking prove it? And here we go with the allegations. I am angry and upset about the acts that he committed. How do you know that he committed those acts? You've got no proof that he's committed those acts. But he's a human being, you know. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you're compassionate for him as a human being. I think he should pay for what he did. How do you know what he did? How do you know anything about what happened to those girls? But he's still a human being. And I observed him at one point. He was eating sticky notes and just staring into space and just acting like I figured he would act. Are you saying that was an act? He has issues. I believe anybody that kills two girls has some issues. How do you know he killed two girls? I mean, what on earth convinces you that he killed two girls? Because I know all we had was a bullet. We had an unspent fucking bullet. That's all you had until you waterboarded his ass in Westville. He's going through that and trying to deal with that. How do you know what he's going through? I think he's going through what has happened to him, that he's been caged like a fucking animal. But he had to write something down on a sticky note and eat it. Just his demeanor was off. Yeah, I think he's lost his fucking mind in the course of all this. But yeah, I think the whole trial, it's nerve-wracking, but it was confident in our case. I was confident that we had enough evidence to prove that Richard Allen was guilty of this. No, you didn't. And testifying is, the truth is easy. You didn't have enough. You didn't have enough to prove that he was guilty. There was plenty of proof of reasonable doubt. But what happened with that jury? That's the question I have. What actually happened? And you know what? If everything was so legit in the state of Indiana and in this entire process and with these jurors, where are they? Where are they? If they're so proud of putting this monster away for life, where are they? Hey, maybe they are proud. Maybe they're just afraid. Did someone strike fear into their hearts? Where is it? Where is our jury? Even the alternate jurors haven't spoken. One juror has spoken, not even to the attorneys. Some smell a little off to you? You don't have to, you just go up there and tell the truth. I mean, yes, we make mistakes, but I don't lie under oath. I would never lie under oath. I'm not perfect. And, I may be a lot of things. I quote that from the Crazy Lauren interview you did. I may be a lot of things. Yep, that's one of your go-tos. I may be a lot of things, but I'm not corrupt and I'm not a liar. Verbatim from the Lauren interview. So I think the defense saw that immediately and was probably going to try to attack me a little bit more, I think. But I think that my demeanor and my ability to tell the truth maybe stopped him from doing that. I don't know. Yeah. You know what? You guys remember Andrea Burkhart? Remember Andrea Burkhart on the day that Holeman testified, the first day? You remember her impressions? I remember that. And because we didn't have any fucking cameras in the courtroom because of you fucking maniacs in Indiana, we have to rely on people like Andrea to tell us what actually happened. And, I remember her relaying the fact that you were all cocky as fuck when you started, but by the time you finished, you were humble as pie. I remember that. But yeah, you're obviously anxious too. I mean, especially when deliberation comes. I mean, you spend a lot of time working the investigation, but you also spend a lot of time preparing and testifying and all to get to the truth. And so it does, your anxiety kicks up a notch. And the reason we're doing it is for justice for Abby and Libby, and hopefully for the family got a little bit of closure. Yeah, I'm sure you were coached highly. I'm sure, listen, Look, can we be real here? Every single witness, every single family member, every single investigator, everybody was coached to the extreme. Everybody was coached to the extreme. This was a well-rehearsed theater that you saw play out. It was all theater, and it was very well rehearsed. And there's no doubting that. I mean, it could not be any clearer. I mean, so yeah, that was pretty much my experience through the trial. A lot of sleepless nights. See, the problem is whoever uploaded that Abby Snapchat fucked up. Whoever uploaded that Abby Snapchat really fucked up because you thought that it would not be found out. Just like whoever plugged those headphones into that headphone jack fucked up. They didn't realize that the phone would log that. So you motherfuckers were really good in this cover-up. That's why it's taken so long. It's one of the best cover-ups we've ever seen in the history of the world. You know, this cover-up has been, they used technology. Okay, like I've said so many times, keep in mind, my opinion here, they used technology to stage this entire crime. The technology was part of the staging. That's why they had everybody spread out, taking pictures, sending texts, doing things with phones. The digital forensics, they already knew was going to be part of the trial and the investigation. This whole thing was planned out to include all of that. It's one of the best cover-ups you've ever seen. They went into it using the devices to establish the timeline, etc. But here's where they fucked up. They didn't realize that it would be revealed that Libby's phone did not upload that Snapchat of Abby. What else they didn't realize is that when they plugged that headphone jack in, that it would be logged by the phone. So those couple small errors have cost them this entire thing. They might have gotten away with it. Would it not have been for them uploading that Abby Snapchat from a different device and them fucking with that headphone jack? They almost got away with it. They almost got away with it. But see, those two things, those are you threw a wrench in your own plans. I mean, you almost flawlessly executed the most perfect cover-up in the history of modernity. You use social media. Remember, I've said from the beginning, this was a social media case from before day one. This was a social media case. That's why it was called the Snapchat murders. It was always a social media case from day one. It's just like they're trying to lie to you right now. Okay, they're trying to lie. Keegan Kline is supposed to be Anthony Schatz. Anthony Schatz lured the girls out to the trails that day. But somehow, Richard Allen randomly decides to also be a pedophile and also target and victim those girls simultaneously at the exact same nexus point, time and place. You gotta be fucking kidding me. It don't work that way. How many coincidences are possible before it's unbelievable? So you expect people to think that Anthony Schatz's account lured the girls out to the trails. That was a victimizing. Okay, that was an assault, or that was a targeting. And you also expect us to believe that coincidentally, Richard Allen is out there and he randomly decides to also target or victimize these girls. So these two incidents came together serendipitously and it leads to the death of Abby and Libby. Come on, man. Shit don't happen now like that. It just don't happen that way. You got two pedophiles simultaneously targeting the same two girls at the same time and place. But these are not connected at all to this one, the blah, 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 blah. Come on, man. You guys fucked up. It was a setup. It was theater from day one. It was LARPing. Okay. They figured out that they would set up they would stage this whole crime, and they would use the digital forensics as milepost in this whole timeline, et cetera, and also confirmation of the fact that you're a witness and you're here at this point in time, and this one's over here at this point in time. And they had it all so fucking finely planned out. But you fucked up. You uploaded Snapchat from some other device, and you went and you fucked with the phone and plugged something into the headphone jack. You fucked up. So those two things will be the linchpins in this case. Mark my words. Here we come with some more ass crack licking from the murder shits. How did you feel that the prosecution team, Nicholas McClellan, Stacy Diener, and James Luttrell did in your view? How did you feel that the prosecution, McClellan, Diener, and Luttrell did? Yeah, I thought they did great. Yeah, you would. I thought they were definitely well prepared. Yeah, I bet people's lives depend on it. I think Nick is probably the most organized and prepared prosecutor I've worked with. And being a state trooper, you get to work with a lot of different prosecutors. I've worked with a lot of good ones. But Nick, really, you could tell in several different ways that he was putting a lot of time and effort into it. One way was he's a little bit grouchy, so he wasn't getting a lot of sleep. He'll hate me for saying that. Ha 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 ha. But him and I have a great relationship. And I mean, obviously he wasn't sleeping. He was staying up late, working hard. And I think he's probably one of the hardest workers I've ever worked with, period. Will Coco do that? But as a prosecutor, he knows the law. Yeah. How many propping him up? You think? How many propping him up? How many? And Jeremy was telling me that his dad said Jim Luttrell was one of the best prosecutor he's ever worked with, period. So he come with a good reputation. No, I'm sorry. I skipped a bit. I'm so pissed with this interview. I'm skipping. Okay. My apologies. Here we go. Let me go back to 1905. Okay. I mean, they were, I don't know trial rules and regulations, but they obviously studied and were prepared and were winning the objections and doing the right things for the right reasons. Well, it's because you had a biased judge giving them a fucking free reign of the courtroom. Hello, it was all a setup. You had a biased judge breastfeeding, burping, changing diapers, totally taking care of these prosecutors. They were winning objections, bro. The judge was biased. She was fucking unhinged. Yeah, any attorney that you ask that's independent of this prosecution, all the attorneys said the exact same thing. She was unfucking hinged. But yeah. Nick really put his heart and soul into this investigation, and it showed. And Jim is so calm, cool, and collective, and to the point, and very intelligent, knows the law. My captain Jeremy Kelly's father, I don't know his father, but he's a retired trooper, and he was a crime scene investigator and a detective over there in Peru area, and worked with Jim. And Jeremy was telling me that his dad said Jim Luttrell was one of the best prosecutors he's ever worked with, period. So he comes with a good reputation, and it was a pleasure working with Jim. He, like I said, just so calm. He brings everybody down, and he's able to kind of keep everything together. And Stacy, I worked with Stacy and Nick before. Stacy was a prosecutor up in Pulaski County. I worked with her early on when we filed some meth lab charges on people manufacturing meth up there, and also worked with her when she was deputy prosecuting attorney in White County. So I knew that she was very organized and thorough, and she was able. She has the demeanor to work well with everybody. And I think she was even able to work as well as possible with the defense attorneys, better than maybe some others. And she just has the ability to work well with everybody. And, all three of them are just awesome. Great job by all three of them. Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, sure. And here we come with simping Ann. I'm curious. You went through all these years of the investigation, and then trial lasted a little under a month. What I'd like to, first of all, hear that a verdict come down, and then to hear what that verdict was. Was that a fucking question? Yeah, I think we are all excited. Again, I'll say this now, but I really had no doubt what we were going to get a guilty verdict. Yeah, I don't know, bro. Yeah, you had the judge. Okay, you had the judge in your pocket. I mean, you fucking had the judge in your pocket, and then you had Mullen as bailiff. I mean, bro, you guys had complete control over that courtroom. Let's not kid each other here. There was zero left to chance. Like I said, it's theater, and it was act out to perfection. Sorry, I need a chocolate break. Hold on. Pardon me. Just getting a little long here, and I'm hungry. but I really had no doubt that we were going to get a guilty verdict. There were some people concerned that there might be a hung jury. But as I was kind of watching the jury, I just felt like they were very tuned in and taking good notes and asking questions. And I just felt like the facts were there, that they were going to find him guilty. So it wasn't a surprise to me. I wasn't worried. Right. You had it on lock. This whole thing was on lock. You had the judge. Like, the judge did not allow a defense. I was very anxious, obviously. When most trials that I've been involved with, hour and a half, maybe 3 to 4 hours, jury will deliberate and come back. So this was the first one that was multiple days. Ah, interesting. Most trials that I've been involved with, hour, half, maybe 3 or 4. Wow, really? So this one being 19, doesn't that tell you that there was some problem? So there was some problem. Who interfered with the jury? Was the jury threatened? Was the jury compromised? Was the jury paid? What happened with this jury that they couldn't come back in an hour and a half or 2 or 3? I mean, look, everyone can clearly see that something doesn't smell right with this jury. Nothing smelled right with this entire fucking crime, the entire investigation, the entire fucking trial, and the entire deliberations and the entire verdict. This, like, an entire aftermath. Everyone can see that something doesn't smell right. Dude, listen. All of the defense attorneys and investigators know that something's not right. Doesn't that mean something to you? Doesn't that tell you something? Everyone knows that something's not right with what went on here. But the entire defense team knows it. Everyone knows that all of these facts that exist that are suspicious, highly, and that point to this crime being something else is concerning. And no one has control over it. And remember how hastily this all went by. Remember when the prosecution presented their case, it was extremely weak and tenuous. And everyone was like, that's what they got? That's nothing. Like, is that their fucking case? Okay, then the defense came on, and what we thought was going to be an extensive defense presentation turned into like a few days of like, oh yeah, this, and this, and we rest. And everyone was like, what the fuck was that? You know, so everyone's looking at the prosecution's case and saying, what the fuck was that? That ain't shit. And then the defense came and gave a willy-nilly little fucking flimsy defense presentation. And everyone said, what the fuck was that? Surely this is going to be a hung jury or a not guilty verdict. But most likely, this will be a hung jury because this shit, like both sides, it was a what the fuck moment. But you mean to tell me you go into 19 hours of fucking deliberations and then somehow come back with unanimously guilty? There's no fucking way, man. There's no way. Like you basically, it's like you had some fucking third grade presentations on each side. You had some little fucking amateur hour third grade fucking prosecution presentation of evidence of no evidence. Then you had a little fucking flimsy third grade defense presentation. $19 of deliberation. And you come back unanimous guilty verdict. And of all the different personality types between the actual jurors and the alternates, of all the personality types, not one to fucking step forward and talk about it at all. So this is the first one that was multiple days, but I appreciated that because there was so much information that the prosecution and defense put out there. So I wanted them to make the right decision. Ooh. I didn't want them to make a hasty decision. I didn't want them to rush anything. So I appreciated that they took the time out of their families' lives and their lives to dedicated themselves to this duty that's very important. So I wasn't worried about it as some people. I was anxious and, maybe a little bit on edge and took a lot of walks around the courthouse square there. But I was confident that we were going to get a guilty verdict. And when Nick texted me and said, "Hey, we got a verdict," I was excited because I knew it was going to be guilty. And I was like, okay, it's not going to be a hung jury. Great. We don't have to do this again. And so I was pretty excited about it. Went up and talked to Nick, and he was still kind of nervous. And I was like, we got this, and they took such a long time because they wanted to be thorough and make the right decision. And they're going to. So when they came in, everybody's always like, well, if they don't look suspect, it's going to be guilty. Oh, he said if they don't look at the suspect, it's going to be guilty. And if they look at the family or suspect, I don't know if any of that's true or not, but I bought into it, and I was watching the jury and seeing how they were acting. And it seemed to me like they were focused on the judge, and maybe in their body language, they were focused on the judge. And when the first one come out guilty, I mean, I was just like it was like a ton of bricks off your chest. And all that hard work and efforts we put into this paid off for Abby and Libby, because that's what it's all about. Really, really. So you think letting the killers go free by convicting Richard Allen Lone Wolf Killer, you think that's justice for Abby and Libby? Who would all of you come together to protect? It wasn't about any of us. It wasn't, it was about them getting justice for those two. Can't get their lives back, unfortunately. But, and for the families, hopefully they get a little bit of closure from this. But, I don't know if I was in their shoes. I don't know as though this helps or not, but we got the right guy, and then to get the verdict on both counts, on all four counts, just shows that the work that the investigators did paid off. The work that the prosecution did, all their expert witnesses, it just all came together and just felt, it took a while to sink in. I think even took a couple days to sink in, but I'm just glad they got it right. I'm just glad we work together as a team, as investigators and the lab, all the experts, just all the time and effort. I can't imagine, I've testified for hours before, but some of those expert witnesses, they were there all day long. And that's just amazing. So I was very, very proud of the team and everybody involved. Can you tell us? Can you tell us about? Oh, looking back, every investigation has mistakes. Now's where you get your notebooks out because she's handing the talking points. Okay, here's another one. Mistakes. Okay, she's like I said, you guys need to go through these interviews and take notes. This goes in the notebooks. Mistakes. Anything involving humans obviously does. But what do you regard as the biggest mistake that occurred in the case? Mistakes. Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no such thing as a perfect investigation. Although we try, things just go wrong. Things go wrong in life. And some of it, you can't control. Like I said a minute ago, I'm very proud of the work everybody involved in, extremely hard. And they poured their hearts and souls into this investigation for 7 years and 10 months. So mistakes, technical errors were made. Whatever you want to call them, maybe a little of both. What I can say here and every day before, after, and during this is none of the mistakes were made intentional. Nobody wants to misfile a tip. No one wanted the tip to be overlooked. I think that's probably one of the major things we're going to get criticized over. But it was just a mistake, and we were able to overcome it. Because someone planted a tip for Kathy Schenk to find in her desk drawer, miraculously. It took us too long. Absolutely. I wish we would have had that tip day one, but we didn't quit. I think the biggest mistake and the most detrimental mistake to the investigation would be to quit, to give up. And there was never any talk or indication that anybody was going to give up on this investigation. The technical errors, I mean, no one deleted any audio tapes, videotapes, nobody. The Delphi incident, the people aren't familiar with the recording system. There's a little key. Oh, talking point. Nobody intentionally deleted. Where is it? Audio or videotapes. Nobody intentionally deleted. That's the point of this question. Nobody intentionally deleted and tip. So what's so important that ISP has to send out Jerry Holeman to spread this narrative? Nobody intentionally deleted. There's a little key outside the door. You swipe the key, a green light comes on, and you're recording. When you're done, you're supposed to flip it back. A red light comes on. It stops recording. Well, if you're not familiar with that, and maybe somebody turned that on for you, and you get done, you leave. And what happened? It was just continuously recorded over the interviews. There was no way to get them back. We tried. We tried to correct those mistakes. We went back to try and identify people that were interviewed during that time frame. If we couldn't find a report where they memorialized the interviews, then we would go back and re-interview the person and memorialize that either with an audio videotape statement or a report. Sorry, not believable. Not believable. Not believable. You can't even account for. So you're telling me that not one investigator or detective or interviewer ever found it necessary to go back and re-listen to that? It took you how long? Come on, bro. You think people are that stupid? Okay, so I'm a detective. Let's say today's Tuesday. Let's say on Friday I interviewed Joe Blow. And let's say on Tuesday I said, yeah, I need to go back and listen to my Friday interview of Joe Blow. Don't you think that the necessity would arise quite kind of often for me as a detective to have to go back to Friday and re-listen to Joe Blow and get something, write it down? But they want you to believe that none of them ever, for something like 6 or 8 months, had the necessity, not even once, to go back and re-listen to one single interview from that interview room. You know, same thing with technical difficulties. I mean, you saw it in the trial. It wasn't on purpose. Put that in your notebook. Technical difficulties not on purpose. Talking point. I mean, we would break, play the video, the jury would come back in. It wouldn't work. You can't explain that. It's just technology is great when it works, but there was nothing in this investigation. Oh, similar talking point to the Lauren. Okay. So he's doing the exact same interview. There was nothing in this investigation that was done for any foul reasons, nothing intentional. Notebook, nothing done for any foul reasons, nothing intentional. Like I said earlier, I've worked with these people. The last person that's going to do something intentional like that is Steve Mullen, the most honest guy in the world. Look at it. It's in this paragraph here. It's in this paragraph here. Last three, no, how many? 5, 6 words. The most honest guy in the world. Really? Interesting. Hyperbole there. Interesting hyperbole. If anybody knew him like I do, I've known him for years, worked with him on the road, most honest guy you'd ever work with. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we were able to overcome all those obstacles and barriers and mistakes and take the evidence and facts that don't lie and prove to a jury of Mr. Allen's peers that he was responsible for the murders of Abby and Libby. End of story. It's hard to believe that, it's hard for me to believe that he believes this. It's hard to me to believe that anyone would believe these words. It's really difficult. End of story. Okay, because you proved it to a jury by having a biased judge on your side facilitating the whole railroading, by omitting any exculpatory evidence, by facilitating the prosecutor, you were able to, oh, and need I, dare I forget to mention, by coercing confessions out of Allen by torture and abuse in a max security prison as a pretrial detainee. Yes, by all of those roads, you were able to convince a jury that he was responsible. But that's not end of story. There's no way that's end of story. You wish it was the end of the story. Because if it was the end of the story, your fucking day would be made and all of your buddies, and you could all kick back, kick your feet up and relax and not worry anymore or have any anxiety about whatever's going to turn up with this Delphi investigation. And I don't just mean the appeal. I mean, if the FBI ever does their fucking job and comes and reviews this and cleans house, that's what I mean. So one thing that's characterized the Delphi murders cases, it's sort of at what times is, to be blunt, rather more like insane online following. Not to say everyone who's interested in the case online is behaving poorly, but there's certainly a small and vocal minority that is. Yeah, bitch. Who is that? Who do you mean, me? Do you mean Joe Lewis? Do you mean Raffy? Oh, maybe you mean those girls over on the other side. Who do you mean? You know who we saw behaving poorly? All of the prosecution friendly shills, the bootlickers, those direct communication, those directly communicating with Jerry Holeman, Nick McClellan, Jody Williams, etc. David Vito, Doug Carter. All of those assholes are the ones who's behaved extremely poorly. They've threatened to kill everyone. They've threatened our families. They've gone after our families. They've doxed us. They've put our houses on the internet. Our mothers, our fathers. But you think that you're going to pretend like that never happened? Murder Sheet? You know what? I'm doubling down. You've now convinced me. I'm absolutely doing a troll farm exposure video where I'm going to teach the entire troll farm tactics and show all the receipts of all you all have done. So you're fucked now. And you know, given that and given all of the issues that have arisen from that, I'm curious for you looking back, is there anything that you feel the authorities speaking as a whole could have done differently to help mitigate? Oh, she got the thesaurus out. Some of that, or ensure that it wouldn't get as crazy as it was online? Or what are your thoughts on that? Yeah. I wonder, what are the thoughts? Maybe if you had arrested Greeno for all the fucking people he's threatened to kill on this case, yeah, that could have fucking helped. Thomas Frost, Jinx, Mark Cohen, okay, all those motherfuckers who fucked with people for years over this case, who's pretty much run everyone off the case. What would you have done different, Jerry Holeman? I think the media and the social media can be very helpful. Kind of like you can't stereotype media and social media like you can't stereotype police officers or anybody. I mean, there's a lot of good out there. However, there are some that don't self-regulate, I guess, what they say, and it can be hurtful to each other and to everybody involved. I think, you know, obviously, I said this earlier, we want to be transparent. I believe in transparency. And I think that in this case, if we had information that we thought would be helpful to release to the public, we did. But the public's never going to know everything about the investigation. That just can't happen. I mean, I also believe we have to maintain the integrity of the investigation for several reasons. We don't want crime scene photos leaked. We don't want information out there that only the killer would know. I mean, that helps us solve crimes, you know. Cameras in the courtroom. I don't know. That's not my call. I think that might have helped the reporting. You know, I guess if you don't have to have complete control over something, you really can't put your opinion out there. So we will never know everything about the investigation. We have to maintain integrity of investigation. We don't want information out there that only the killer would. Hold on, I thought Rick Allen's the killer. I thought Rick Allen is the killer. If Rick Allen is the killer and he's already in prison for life, then what's the harm in releasing the details to the public? See, I think what the truth is that you don't want transparency around this because transparency crumbles the whole house of cards right on down. Therefore, there can be no transparency. Have you answered yet why we don't have any information out of this trial yet? I mean, I don't have control of cameras in the courtroom. I don't have control on regulating what social media says about certain to a certain extent. But it's like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. You want to put information out that's going to help you, but you also have to stand firm on we can't release certain investigative techniques that we're doing. We can't release names of people. It's just hard to maintain a good relationship with the media and social media, especially when you don't have complete control over these entities. So having complete control is the only MO you know. That's all that works for you is to have complete control over it. Otherwise, there's a complete blackout on the information. I see. Now we're getting to the root of the matter. You see, you got to get damn near 2/3 into this. You see, we're starting to hit on the heart of it. You don't have complete control over it. Therefore, you can't release it. Therefore, it's a blanket of darkness. It's a cloud. It's a wall of secrecy. It's a conspiracy of silence. You'll never be allowed to know. Just trust me. We'll never get those pieces of evidence that were used in trial because she's going to ensure that we're never allowed to see the evidence. We'll never get the transcripts because there's going to be charging thousands of dollars per witness. We'll never get any of it. And can you explain why it can be important investigatively not to release specific pieces of information? You see how these are preordained talking points. This is public relations. This is not an interview. These are not journalists. Do we all agree that these are not journalists? This is not journalism. This is not getting to the heart of the matter, to the root of the matter, to the cause. This is a PR piece. This is basically an advertisement. So these are not questions. These are preordained talking points. Can you explain why it can be important investigatively not to release specific pieces of it? Explain. Tell us why you're not going to tell us anything. What would be the thinking behind that? You hear false confessions. You fear that people are going to say, "Yeah, I killed them," but that happened occasionally. But we were able to eliminate those early on because of the facts that they were saying and how they killed them. We knew it wasn't true. So I think cause of death and motive are a couple of things that you just don't feel comfortable releasing to the media. Like I said, we had a unified command and we worked together and we were all satisfied with what we did release to the media when we released it because we thought it would help. That was nothing. You've never released anything to the media. You know what you released? You released conflicting sketches that you lied about. You released the empty fucking bridge photo. Like you released a fucking fantasized, interpolated, photoshopped fucking video and images and audio. You didn't release shit that mattered. You still haven't to this date. This is the January 7th, 2025. None of the decisions we made were to make anybody's lives miserable and withhold information just because we could. Well, that tells you, no, that's exactly what you did. And that's just not true. No, that is true, because everything you say is opposite. As an investigator, you have to do what's best for the case, and that's what we did. Well, wait, bitch, case is over. Come on, bring it. Case is over, right? Case is over, right? Now you put a man away for life, right? On a fucking bullet where that's never used, a fucking unspent round matched to a fired case. Come on, man. You achieved the miraculous. You put Rick Allen away for life on a fucking fantasy. So come on, release. We're waiting. Cuckold Kevin. I'm curious. And now that it's all over, you say you do get texts from people and stuff sometimes. What are the biggest misconceptions that you think the public has about the case? Tell us what the public got wrong. I think we touched on it a little bit, but I think the most of the public thought we were on the right track. No, most of the public thinks you fucking covered up the murders of Abby and Libby. I think most of the public thought we were doing our jobs. No. Most of the public thinks you covered up the murders of 2 little girls. Most of the people in our communities were supportive of us. No, they weren't. Trust me, I talked to a large number of people from Carroll County. They don't fucking trust you. They don't believe you. They think that you're all fucking lying, and half their neighbors are. But because some of us are more local people on social media than we kind of talked about, and some of the media outlets that were persuaded by false narratives, some thought if this was a ritualistic killing. Some? No, most people think that, yes, there were ritualistic elements at the crime scene, because most people have seen the depictions or the photos themselves of the crime scene. Most people clearly know that there's some sort of non-secular, as Robert Ives put it, elements to the crime scene. So most people, even in your community, think that there's some kind of fucking Vinlander / heathen / Odinist / gangster connection, meth head involvement in this fucking crime. It just wasn't. It was not. There's no evidence indicating that. Blood spatter on a tree. Blood spatter. Oh, hold on. Because see, you're gaslighting. Here's what I do to gaslighters. Blood spatter on a tree. Really? Okay. Does that look like a handprint of blood that was spattered onto Libby's hand? Does it look like Libby's hand had some blood? And does it look like Libby grabbed the tree? And does that look like what the outcome was? Libby's hand smeared blood on the tree, and that's the outcome? Really? Really? That's the outcome of blood on Libby's hand smearing on the tree. That's how stupid you think the public is. I mean, I'll give it to you. The public is pretty stupid. But this is blood spatter from Libby's hand from when she did this to her wound and then almost fell, so she grabbed the tree. And that's the outcome of that. Just like the sticks, which are specifically arranged into bind rune-like formations on their dead bodies, you're wanting the public to believe that was somebody trying to hide the bodies? Sticks on people don't automatically make I mean, the average person thinks, oh my gosh, this is ritualistic killing by the Odinist, which again, misconception of what Odinist is. Norse paganism is a religion. I knew nothing about this religion. No, motherfucker. Look, Catholic, Baptist, that's religions, okay? Fucking Norse paganism, Odinist freaks. That's a cover for heathenry. Why are you covering for the Norse paganism? Why are you trying to validate that? Are you a white supremacist? And apparently, here we get some truth. Here we get some truth. Here we get some truth. Listen. And apparently, it's popular with the military and police. Oh, do we now understand why the Iron Order? Ah, Iron Order. Oh, now it's making sense with Mike Patty and the Iron Order, military and police, Norse paganism. It's all coming to light, isn't it? It's all coming to. Oh, okay. It's popular with military and police, Norse paganism, the legit religion. What I now know is they're not a cult. They're not a cult. Okay, not a cult. Put that in the notebook. They don't believe in human sacrifice. Okay, don't believe in human sacrifice. Put that in the notebook. Guess what? I bet some meth heads hopped up on a lot of shit and wanting to do what Westphal said, which was move on from animals. I bet you those would be willing to entertain some sort of human sacrificial type of conception. That's a misconception. Is they make it out to be something it's not. It wasn't Odinism. It was the religion that Brad Holder was practicing, and Patrick Westphal was not Odinism. It was Norse paganism, heathenry. And I think it was one of the biggest misconceptions throughout this case. Other than that, the other was that it was a botched investigation that wasn't conducted thoroughly. Wow, Holeman. Holeman, are you a member of the Norse paganism religion? Also, are you a Freemason? You're acting kind of weird around this topic. And your other claim is that it's not a botched investigation? Bro, I think even an idiot would I mean, dude, even an idiot can see it's a pretty botched investigation. Can we please stop? Like, you don't have to go all the way with the gaslight like this. You could gaslight a little, yeah. You don't have to go like, touchdown with the fucking gaslighting, bro. It's a botched investigation. Can you at least admit that? Admit you fucked up? That's not true. I mean, I could show you hours and hours and list of suspects or tips and leads. I mean, thousands of people. We collected over 600 male DNA profiles. Well, hey, why didn't you collect Kelsey and test it against that hair in Abby's hands until you were forced to during trial? I mean, we worked extremely hard on the case. Boy, you just is fucking. So should we feel bad for you? Should we feel bad for you? Should we feel bad that you worked hard? I mean, you do get paid like an extremely sizable salary to work hard. And not just once, but we would come back and relook at things. We reached out, our egos didn't get in the way, in my opinion. That would be your opinion. That would be your opinion. Hey, my ego never got in the way, not me. Oh no, my ego never got in the way of this. We reached out to other departments and we reached out to people for help, and they all said, hey, you're doing the right thing, keep working, so I just think that those were probably the two biggest misconceptions. Is that there was no doubt it was not a ritualistic killing. Put it in the notebook. Put it in the notebook. Not a ritualistic killing. Not a botched investigation. Okay. And I'm telling you, we worked extremely hard on this. We worked our tails off for 7 years and 10 months. And maybe there's better investigators out there. I don't know. But I don't think anybody would have worked near as hard as this group and we had working on it. And that's my opinion. It would be. It would be. Like I said, what fucking proves that Bridge Guy did anything to those girls? If Bridge Guy is even a guy, let's say it's a guy. Let's say it's a girl. Let's say it's a guy. Let's say it's a girl. Who knows? What's to say that that person did anything related to this crime? How do you know that that person isn't just someone that was out on the bridge? How do we know that? How do you know that as an investigator? You're assuming. I mean, it's very clear. Yes, it's easy to assume that whoever is taped on that footage, it's easy to assume that that person has some part in this crime. But other than the assuming of it, what evidence do you have that that person had anything to do with this crime? I mean, I honestly have a way easier time imagining that it was someone or some others who were not captured on the footage who had something to do with this crime. It makes way more sense to me that you could have had a few people waiting under that bridge that were not captured on film who were responsible for the crime. That's what makes sense to me. I mean, hello, think about it. Think about it. Just imagine, fuck Bridge Guy. Okay, forget it. Forget Bridge Guy. Think about this. Think about that you have several people waiting under the bridge. I think it would be way more likely that several people waiting at the other end of that bridge, under that bridge, way more likely that several unknown persons would have did something to those girls than someone captured far away from them on the other side of the bridge. All right. One thing about the case is that it was sort of plagued by rumors from very early on. Things that would happen on social media, and then suddenly everyone's talking about how an arrest is imminent when it wasn't. Can you talk about that? Rumors. Okay. The bitch wants to talk about rumors. Okay. I guess that I guess that Holeman said, we need to talk about rumors, so ask me about rumors. Rumors are rumors. You're going to have them in everyday life. Rumors and rumors. And early on, I tried really hard to debunk those rumors. I don't know where they were coming from. Seemed to me like people close to the investigation might have been talking to some other people. And most of the rumors were third and fourth hand, so they'd been stepped on and twisted in kind of like telephone game. So there was a little bit of truth, but not really. But the reason I was debunking the rumors early on was because we were getting tips about those rumors. Which leads me back to the fact that there's two things when it comes to rumors. One is there are persistent rumors that have been established since day one. And those persistent rumors, I believe, are true. They contain elements of the truth. They are primarily truthful. Seems like you're trying to debunk the fact that there's truth to those early rumors. And that truth involves everything that Rafi's ever talked about. That's one thing. Second point, there's disinformation that was intentionally inserted into this case by the fucking trolls who you control, meaning that you put false information to muddy the waters into the Delphi murders narrative from the beginning, to throw people off, to confuse people, to muddy the waters, to obscure the truth, and to get everything so information dense and confusing. And let me ask you about that. Rumors you were debunking. How the fuck were you debunking rumors? Were you under a troll account? Did you have fake accounts? Did several of you have fake accounts on Reddit, on YouTube, and on Facebook where you were spinning the narrative trying to debunk rumors? Because you know what? It smells like several of you from law enforcement were on social media spinning a narrative. And I'm not going to go into all the rumors that were being spread, but we knew that they were false. So it was just clogging up our Orion tip system and just making, following up on leads that we know aren't true because of the rumors that were being spread out there. So not a huge issue when we were able to, deal with that issue. But there were a lot of rumors being spread out there about this case. And it's unfortunate when that happens, but it happens. Yeah, buddy. There was a lot. I've never seen a fucking case with so many fucking rumors and so much fucking trolling and threatening and harassment as the Delphi murders. That's how we know that the killers are still out there and those protecting them have been part of all of this. Because you never had a case with this much fucking disinformation, threats, harassment, doxing. It's why we say the troll farm works for law enforcement and family and killers, which automatically ties all of them together. Because why would the family cover for the killers? Why would the law enforcement cover for the family? Why would the family cover for the law enforcement? Why would the law enforcement cover for the killers? Why would the killers cover for the family? Why would the killers cover for law enforcement? Why would they all be a trifecta? Makes zero sense. And it appears to be a bunch of fucking pedophiles. On top of all of that. So who's being protected here? Were the killers pedophiles? Or were they working for pedophiles? I mean, what's really gone on here? What is it like to immerse yourself in a horrifying situation on a daily basis? Oh, I can answer that, you stupid. I watch my language. I can answer that. It's pretty fucking horrifying. It actually destroys your life. It gives you anxiety. It makes your nights restless nights. It's a lot of emotional trauma, being threatened with death all the time over the Delphi murders, having your family targeted. Yeah, not a happy feeling. Not a happy feeling. Murder shits. I think that about that a lot, because I wouldn't wish this type of investigation on anyone. Going into it, I knew it was going to take a toll on us. I mean, honestly, I thought the first day we'd have somebody in custody by the end of the week. So did Robert Ives, who said there were non-secular signature, which means cult. But after that, I knew we were going to be in for the long haul, and it was going to take a toll on everybody. But however, being in the Marine Corps for 8 years and a trooper out now for 24 years, I said earlier, become compartmentalized or desensitized or callous to traumatic events. So that part didn't affect me emotionally. It was more the exhausting hours that we worked, 10 to 12-hour shifts, working on weekends, getting called. I mean, just dedicated to this case. Everybody, including myself, it was tough. A lot of sleepless nights. You lay awake thinking about, did we do this right? Can we do it better? But, that's what we do. We work our tails off. We follow the facts and evidence. And until we can, establish probable cause for arrest, like I said, that's all he's ever cared about. That's all these cops care about is paperwork. Probable cause on paper. And then after that, the real work starts. And that's preparing for trial. And that's another exhausting effort that we go through. But everybody involved knew that whatever toll it took on us, we were willing to make that sacrifice for Abby and Libby and their families. Oh, shit. And no one has suffered more than them. So that makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, you're right about that. uh, 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 as we've mentioned earlier, a number of people in this conversation who worked on the investigation for the prosecution, and many, I'm not sure we've mentioned who, not really been as public facing or just didn't come up in this talk, but I'm curious, when you are looking at all these investigators and prosecutors and volunteers, what do they mean to you now that you've all been through this rather horrifying and unique situation together? I often use the phrase trauma bonding wrong, but when you go through tough times with people that make you tough, it's like being in the military. When you go through a challenging and stressful situations, you just become closer. When you go through that with others, you develop these lifelong friendships, build on mutual trust and support and reliance on one another during those times of stress and adversity. I mean, we had a lot of stress and adversity through the case, and we had to rely on other people. And I think that those shared experiences of hardship, they forged those strong bonds. Is that why Carter turned rogue? This case, I've always had a special place in my heart for those guys, the prosecutors, the investigators, everybody involved. They mean a lot to me. I mean, and they mean a lot to the community, and that's what we do. We try to do things for the right reasons at the right time, and that does cause you to have a certain bond with people. Oh my God! And here we come with the vomit fest. Here we come with the vomit fest. You ready for the vomit? And what do the families of Abby and Libby mean to you? And by families, I mean Patty's and Anna Williams. As an investigator, you try to keep emotions out of it. You try to do your job. But personally, I think very highly of both families in this case. And by that, he means Patty's and William. Talk about tough people. I mean, they've been through the toughest situation. What about Carrie? Anybody could ever go through losing their daughters, granddaughters, sister, cousin, whatever they meant to certain people in that family. And they just dealt with it the best they could. Oh, shucks. And I've told them multiple times, I can't put myself in your shoes. I can't imagine what you're going through. However, if I was in their shoes, I would think that my reactions would be very similar, especially Mike Patty. There you go. There you go. There you go. Number one hero. Who has he made the number one hero? Especially Mike Patty. I mean, he was wanting to be involved. He wanted to be a special deputy, and we couldn't let that happen. But that's exactly how I would be if that was my granddaughter. And it would have been very easy for them to distrust us, become aggravated with the investigation. And they probably were at times. And we were aggravated at times. But the way they stood by us throughout the ups and downs for the last 7 years and 10 months was phenomenal. Yeah, I guess it was. I'm sure the killers appreciated it too. I mean, when I hugged Anna, odd that you didn't mention Carrie. When I hugged Anna at the end, I just thanked her for trusting us and believing in us, because she'd always say, I believe you guys are going to do this. I believe in you guys. And that means a lot. So, like I said, they're both great families. By that, I mean Patty's and Anna Williams. They did not deserve this. No one does. And I don't think, and unfortunately, we were brought together with those families by the brutal acts of Mr. Allen. So says I. And I mean, I've learned a ton from them, and definitely tough people, very tough. And again, they'll hold a special place in my heart as well. What do Abby and Libby and their memories mean to you? Well, as you know, I didn't know them before, but what I know now, I truly believe they were gonna accomplish great things in life. Yeah, despite their meth head fucking pedophile families. Yeah. And I'm upset that they got taken away from them, but they'll always be true heroes to me. Like Prosecutor McClellan said in his closing arguments, Libby wanted to help police someday. Oh, give me a break. Give me a fucking break. Give me a break. Libby was no detective. She was no hero. Abby was no hero. She was no detective. They weren't superheroes. They didn't wear capes. Okay? They were victims. They were little girls who were brutally victimized by some fucks. Let's be brutally honest. These are dead children here. Well, she did. She did by having the awareness to turn on her video and her phone and videotape this. I mean, she was only 14 years old. Yeah, you mean what we've been told? You mean that she was just happened to have been photographing whatever girl that was and accidentally caught some figment far off in the distance? Come on, man. We're going to keep arguing this gaslighting till the day we die, bro. And that's all. I mean, what most 14-year-olds would not react like that. It's just amazing to me. Yes, because you're fantasizing about what actually happened. And then Abby for hiding the phone, whether she did it intentionally. You mean while she's dead and cold. Okay. She's dead. She's pale. She's clothed in some fucking wet clothing, dead and gone, and a wiped off phone is placed under a shoe and under her body. But that's called her hiding it? Fantasy world. It's not cool to fantasize about victims of murders, man. Mr. Allen couldn't find it and destroy any of that evidence, which helped out tremendously. I think Doug Carter said, "I'd rather have it than not." It's added a little bit of weight to a very complex investigation. Libby didn't intentionally film Bridge Guy. We don't know Bridge Guy had anything to do with whatever happened. Abby did not intentionally hide the phone under her body. It's all part of the staging of this crime. Stop fantasizing about murder victims. Then both of them staying together. I mean, I don't know if I was in that situation, I may have took off running, but they stayed together because of their true friendship and dedicate. I'll put that in your notebooks. Stayed together to the end. Check. Stayed together. Why is that so important? Why is that so important for you all to always be saying, all of you have always tried to impress upon the public that those girls were together to the very end. Why? It leads the suspicious to critical thinker to begin to think that they were not together. Because you want the public to believe so badly that they were together, it probably means that they were not together. Because if they were together, you wouldn't have to try to push the fact that they were together so hard. So the fact that you've been all pushing this narrative that they were together kind of tells us that they were not together. So why is it important? It must be important to the narrative then. So it's important to the narrative that they were not together. That means they died separately, they arrived separately. Is that what that means? And that is important to the actual crime flow? I think it is. I think they died separately, they arrived separately. Therefore, the fact that they are separate is important to the crime flow, which is the reason you all push so hard that they stayed together to the end. And to me, they're just two of the absolute most brave heroes, in my opinion. No, they're victims. They're poor victims. And definitely learned a lot from them. I'll always hold a special place in my heart for them, and I hope someday I'll be able to give them a hug when I finally meet them in heaven. Really, really. My name's Cuckold Kevin, and is there anything we haven't asked you about what you'd like to talk about or like people to know about this case or your work on it? I don't think so. We covered everything. I gave you the talking points earlier. Well, thank you so much, Lieutenant. That's your title, Holeman. It gives you credibility for taking time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing for us too. What are you doing for us? I don't know, giving us free PR, establishing a narrative, putting our talking points out, shilling for us. You've been putting information out for us for years as we've leaked to you directly from within our organization. You've always worked so well for us. Appreciate what you guys are still doing for us. Appreciate you're going to have Cicero on. You're going to have probably McClellan. You're going to have others on. You're going to keep fucking putting out the narrative for us because that's what you do. We'd like to thank the lieutenant, underline title, for taking time to speak with us today. All right, everyone. So that was the completion of the murder sheet interview with Jerry Holman. I think I'm going to have a little snack of this chocolate before we wrap it up. That was rough. I mean, I really don't mean to be so annoying. I really don't. I don't mean to raise my voice. I don't mean to be so just out downright annoying, but it's hard. It's hard. It's really hard to read through that, and it's the way that I cope with it. I believe. I cope with it by acting out a little bit, being animated. It's the only way I can actually read through it. It's hard though. And like I said, there's so much more to cover. I've got like three or four backed up. It's three or four backed up. So we have tomorrow night, and then Thursday, and then Friday. I usually do something different, and then I'll probably have another Monday. So it's just like it's never ending. Oh my gosh. But I don't like yelling into the mic, and I don't like being so disrespectful, and just it's just like I throw a tantrum reading this shit because it's as much of it as we've been through. It's also unbelievable. It's infuriating. It's just difficult. Um, oh man. So let's see. We got James in here. What's up, James? What's up, Christina? What's up, Skip? What's up, Jenny? Kayla came in. What's up, Kayla? Tracy, Heather Brown, Shibby, Steve, Z, Stubbs. Nancy Drew's in here. What's up, Nancy Drew? So many people in here. But seriously, I wish there were more hours in the day to put stuff together because I feel like I want to do more. I'd love to make more videos, but the videos are always so time consuming. They take me 10 times longer to make and they get a third of the views. So it always seems counterproductive to spend, 10 times the amount of time. I got to spend 2 days to make a video and it'll get a third of the views. It just seems pointless. But I want to make videos about the fake Abby Snapchat. About the news coverage over the years. There's a lot that's on the plate. Oh man. And there's just like this unceasing rolling out of BS, both from the court and on this social media, you know. So, Baldwin and Razi were removed as attorneys of record today. Somewhat violating protocol. You got shit like this that we just read that's just a constant rollout of this type of stuff, and it's been difficult. It's like, when I tell you what's infuriating about these people is they've done all the harassment and doxing. Okay, so let's back it up. All of the death threats, harassment, doxing has all come from one group of people. Those of you who've been here, that I made up the term troll farm to describe them under an umbrella. They were all in direct communication with the prosecutor, with the law enforcement, and the judge's assistant. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds? So not only did they come and tell the lies about the case consistently, they also harassed the shit out of all of us, sent in threats, made entire channels dedicated to trolling, to posting your parents, posting your fucking children, all of this shit. Yeah. These very same people who are the best friends of the cops, prosecutor, the judge's office, and the family. Why is that okay? And the fact that Murder Sheet and Holeman would try to assert that it's the other way around. It's infuriating. It's like it's such an affront or an insult to the intelligence. It's like, please don't abuse me and then tell me that I'm the abuser. Ooh, I gotta sorry. Oh man. And I mean, they've done a lot of harm. They've done a lot of harm. And look, you've got dead people behind this. Like, you've got dead people behind this. And I've always said, and I will continue to say, I maintain, what would be worth all of this? Because in the murders of two little girls, that would not warrant all of this. You got two dead little girls. You never have all of this behind it. You never have all of this. You don't have a whole team of harassment, of trying to ruin lives, trying to they literally, I have the records. They try to make you kill yourself. Like, I have the records. I have screenshots. That's the goal. Why would people, over the murders of two little girls, why would you have a whole contingent of people trying to do this? It's not what happens. It never happens. My honest belief is that they are hiding the persons responsible for the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. And I just don't understand. Why would law enforcement be a part of that? Because it never happens. Anyway, we got a wonderful show here tonight. It was a great chat. I appreciate the chat so much. And I guess I'll leave you with this. What was the last proof of life of those girls? Because we know what was supposed to be proof of life of those girls. So what I find is that what's continuously surfacing is that they tried to establish proof of life of these girls and fool the public. And the public has started to find it out. So then the question becomes, well, what is the actual last proof of life of these girls? And that I don't have an answer to. And I don't think any of us yet have an answer to. We know what it's not, but we don't know what it is, which is the difficult part. And if we could ever get any of these locals, family members, friends, we could even get one of them to ever come and tell the truth about the last proof of life of those girls, we'd have a starting place. All it would take is one person who actually used to care for the girls when they were living, to grow a backbone, stand up and say, I know when those girls were last alive. I saw them, or this is it. And that would be a starting place. And with the starting place, we could start to move. And who knows, maybe one of them, maybe the guilt, maybe they'll grow a conscience one day. And they'll feel bad, and they'll want to free themselves of that burden. And I think that would be a wonderful thing, because they could live like a, a freer life. But it would mean having to tell the truth about what they know. And I know that hasn't happened yet. It's been difficult. I mean, it's been difficult to get the truth out of anybody about these Delphi murders. And you really got to ask yourself, why? How can it be that complex? It's two little kids. Why should it be so difficult to get the truth about the murders of two little kids? I really hope this FBI hope they've been watching. Hope they figured it out, and I hope they do something. Because it's been a long time. A lot of harm has been done. Like I said, what would be worth all this? Way too many lie around the murders of two little kids. Should never happen. Well, today has been January 7th, 2025. If you're on the replay, who knows? Who knows when it is? Um, Please leave a comment down below, though, if you happen to be on the replay. You missed the live chat, unfortunately, the best part. But you can still leave some comments below. We'll talk. Okay, we'll talk in the chat. If you're watching the show, please support the channel as well. Please support that channel. Hit the Cash App. We have Buy Me a Coffee. We have the super chats and all that stuff. So please support the channel. Hit the thumbs up. Also, if you're here in this live chat right at this moment, please hit that thumbs up right at this moment. Yeah, I've sort of been optimistically fantasizing that the day will come soon when the feds pounce on this case. What do you mean by the feds? Oh, the fucking FBI. Fucking FBI. I've been fantasizing that the day will come that the FBI pounces down on this case. And answers some questions. I do believe the public deserves some answers. There were some outstanding questions that I believe the public deserves some clarity on. Like the geofencing. Like the family's phones. I believe the public truly deserves to know what the family's phones were doing in the 24 hours before, during, and then after. There's a lot of things I think the public deserves some answers to, because listen, the public has been traumatized. That's part of of what was mentioned in that interview, one thing that's undeniable about this case is the insanity of it. This has been an insane case. So many people have been targeted. So many people have been harmed. We believe that people have died. It appears that there's been like an extreme amount of interference in this case by spreading rumors, disinformation, lies, threats, harassment. Like that's obstruction of justice in different ways. It's pretty confusing. And if you were on this jury, no one wants to beat you up here. We just truly want insight into what happened. What were you thinking? What actually happened? And if you've learned more now, what do you think about that stuff you've learned? I truly did think that we would see a hung jury or an acquittal. I don't see how they convicted based upon the digital evidence alone. I mean, the digital evidence alone was flimsy at best, exculpatory. I mean, pretty convincingly exculpatory, but I don't know. But please do me a favor if you want to email me, send me an email. I get a lot of good ones. I don't always respond quickly in time, but I do read them, and hopefully I get to respond. But we feel bad for the jury. We really do. We feel horrible about it because we know that the jury did not get an accurate picture of the case. And that's the most devastating part of this. It's a travesty. It really is, because the jury should have been able to see an accurate picture of this case to be able to make an informed decision. We feel like the the truth was withheld from the jury to keep them right down this pathway of a conviction, and it appeared to have been successful. And that's a whole separate set of questions. And that's probably the angle that the appeals should take very seriously. But as I've mentioned, I don't have much faith in the legal process in Indiana anymore at all. So it's just mind-boggling. You can have an individual who doesn't match the descriptions of witnesses. You can have everything pertinent excluded from the trial. You can have actual exculpatory evidence presented, such as the phone coming on, going off, the jack plugging in, the plugging out, and blah, 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 blah. But the prosecutor gaslit with this very limited hypothetical narrative of the girls being victimized by a bridge guy, just like it's always been told since day one, going across the creek. Like, doesn't seem like it ever happened, but they want you to believe those girls went across the creek. They want you to believe he killed them right there, just for no reason whatsoever. Just killed them both. Escaped without being seen, without leaving any blood. There's zero anything evidence. Blah 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 blah. Makes zero sense. And jury was fed that very limited picture with a biased judge, with a gaslighting as prosecutor, with corrupted evidence of a botched investigation, which I believe botched is kind. I believe it was intentionally botched. So I would hope that these jurors get some courage and say, you know what? I feel like I might have been used. Or at least I should tell the public some of the feelings of the jury. Because the public wants to know. Anyhow, thank you guys for being here. Cheers. Appreciate it. This has been the Delphi Murders, a critical analysis of Murder Sheet's Holeman interview, part 2. Part 1 was just as difficult. And hopefully we'll see you very soon. Hug your kids, hug your wife, stay out of that snow. I know probably still some storms happening for most of you out there. And anyway, enjoy yourself. If you happen to be looking for something to do, there's plenty of content on the channel. Go watch some old replays or something. We got a lot of good stuff. And as I mentioned, this 3 phones, let me paste it again. I think this 3 phones was a good one to take in, because the prosecutor misled the jury regarding the accuracy of the geofencing, and I think it was really unethical. So I'd like you at least to become familiar with that, but I'll probably try to make a short or a clip of that. Okay, so God bless everyone. We'll see you next time. Hope you enjoy yourselves, and that's all I got to say for tonight. I'm out of here. Thanks, Heather. Oh yeah. Let me say thanks. Heather, thanks for being the mod. Kayla as well. Amy probably already left. I saw she was leaving. What's up? Monday, Indy Cindy, Heavy Metal Rehab, Heather Brown, JT, Keep It Simple, Sweet Dude Shibby, Steve Z Stubbs, Debbie Packer, Mino Dino, Who's Your Daddy, Pert Innit, V, Lisa, Monday, I said Monday, Kaleida Hope, Nobody Nothing, everyone who was here, Deputy Dog, okay, everyone who was here, thanks for being here. Everyone who's here super earlier, thank you for being here super earlier. And look, for the T-Bone for the super chat, Heather Brown for the super chat, Starlight Synchronicity for becoming a member, thank you. So everyone who supports the channel, thank you so much. And everyone who was in the live chat, thanks for being in the live chat. We'll catch you later, okay? I'm out.